Today at DevCon, we've been talking a lot about the importance of delivering engaging, customized experiences to our customers. If you had a chance to attend Brian's or Jorge's keynote this morning, you will know that this was one of the main takeaways of their sessions, right? But why is this so important? Why are we talking so much about this? So let's learn a little bit about the benefits of delivering a personalized experience. So one of the first benefits is that by delivering tailored content to our users, they will feel more attracted to our company, and this reduces the acquisition costs. Second, by delivering this type of experiences, our customers will be more engaged, and therefore they will be more willing to acquire our products. And third, by having happier and more happier customers, the image of our brand will grow stronger. And how can Liferay help you enjoy these benefits in your company? So, well, first of all, as Pablo and Marta showed us this morning in her session, Liferay provides a very powerful site builder that empowers business users to create great sites. Second, Liferay provides a powerful audience-driven personalization. By creating segments and combined with the power of the site editor, you can deliver these types of personalized experiences to your customers. And third, very important, Liferay provides tools to optimize these experiences based on the data we've collected from the user interaction. And finally, all these features are available in all the channels, and they are also extendable and integrable with other tools. As Jorge explained during his keynote, these stages, the creation, personalization, and optimization of experiences, are indeed part of a cycle, and Liferay helps you in the three stages of it, right? Today in our talk, we will focus on the second stage of this cycle, the audience-driven personalization. To guide you through these new features in Liferay, we have chosen a fictional car manufacturing company. You may be already familiar with it, Yubo. But please have in mind that this example, we chose car manufacturing, but it could be it can be applied to any other vertical, any business you may feel more comfortable with, like a bank, pharma, retail, utilities. Okay.
So let's go through the real-world scenarios. First, we are going to talk about personalized experience, just like the title of this talk. And then we are going to multi-channel support. Okay, first scenario. So in this case, Sofia, that is the marketing strategist at our car manufacturing company, see that the sales in the high-end sector, the high-end drivers, have dropped in the last quarter, so she wants to create personalized content for that audience. With Liferay, first we need to create a segment for that audience, and then personalize the content for that audience. So before move on to the portal, let's talk a little bit about how to create or to define a segment. So if we create an audience, we have to take all of our visitors and filter them with some properties. For example, user profile properties, organization data, session context, or custom fields or third-party properties. So let's move on to the portal now. This is our homepage, and to solve this first problem, we need to create a segment and also create a new experience. So we are going to edit the page. We are going to the experience drop-down, and we are going to click in new experience. Immediately, we see that in that panel, we have a button just to create a new segment from there. So we click in new segment, and now this is the segment editor. This is super easy to create a new segment because we have in the sidebar just all the properties that I said before. That is user properties, organization properties, and session properties. All of these properties are going to filter all the registered users, but also with the session properties, we can filter the anonymous users too. So it's really simple. We have to drag and drop the properties into the main area, and setting the values, combine them, or just change the condition of the group of and also of all of the groups. So yeah, we are creating or defining our segment. We are just adding some organization properties. In this case, if the user belongs to Advantage Review organization, the user is going to be affected for this new experience that we are going to create now. And with session properties, for example, we have cookies, or we have URL, or we have the language of the user. So once we have our segment created, we have a button that is going to tell us which are the users that are going to be affected by this segment. So we are going to the top right now and clicking View Members. Well, we are going to change the condition. Okay. Clicking View Members. And this is a list of our users that are going to be affected. So save the segment, and now save the experience. Okay, now we have our segment created and our experience, but we have to personalize the experience for our users. So let's go personalize. We're going to use all of the potential of the page editor, and we are going to change, for example, the text of the main banner, and also the subtitle. Okay. We are now choosing another image for our banner, because this is for high-end drivers. Also, we can change the configuration menu, configure our navigation menu to show other links. And also, we can select a new banner with a promotion for that audience. And if we change between experience, we see the difference of the two of them. Now, if we have several segments, and we can, or we want to see the difference between them, we are, for example, use the simulation panel, and in the sidebar we see the list of all our segments, or available segments in this site, and we can change between them and see the difference in an easy way, just in real time. But also, this is a quite good feature that you can view your content in each device, like a tablet or a mobile. We saw how to create a segment from DXP, but we can also create a segment from Analytics Cloud. From DXP, we used user properties, organization properties, and session properties, but with all the power of Analytics Cloud, we can use user activity or long-term behavior, interest, or something like that. So now we are going to an example of how to create a segment from Analytics Cloud. So this is the view, if you're not familiar with it. This is the view of Analytics Cloud. We just click in our workspace, then click in segments and create a new segment. In this case, will be dynamic, but you can create a static segment too. So add a name. This is really similar. It's pretty similar that the view on the XP. But one difference here is that we can include our anonymous users too. So in this case, we are using only web behavior and interest properties. In this case, well, if the user has not viewed his dashboard or her dashboard at least, well, select the dashboard, okay, at least 3 times in the last month, will be our first property. And now we are adding if the user has the interest in dashboard, in the Word dashboard. So yeah, this is a really simple segment from Analytics Cloud, and also we can view the members that are going to be affected for that segment. If we go back to the segments list on DXP, we have synchronized our segment from Analytics Cloud just in the portal. So with this segment, we can create another experience and another personalization for that audience. So with this, we cover the first problem and the first scenario, that is personalized content targeted by audience. And now we are going through the second scenario, that is the multi-channel support. So in this case, Martina, that is a CMO at this company, wants to use this personalization in other channels, and but she doesn't want to increase the cost. So in this case, we are going to create a new content set. Let's talk about this content set in the next slide, and then consume this content set to view in other channels and with the new headless APIs. So before we start creating the content set on the portal and so on, content set is a new functionality in Liferay 7.2 that, for example, if we have a list of cars, in this case, we can choose which cars are going to be displayed in the homepage for a specific audience. So, yeah, for example, the list of that the user is going to see in the red one is also a subset of cars that the entire data. So one relevant thing here is that you create a content set once, but you can use it everywhere. So now let's move to the portal again, and now we are going to create a content set. This content set also will be dynamic or manually if we select a few cars in this example. But in this case, will be dynamic. So we add a name from the content list, or content set. Save it. And now this is the view that to create or to filter the asset that are going to be displayed in the asset publisher. So in this case, this is the variation, initial variation, that is the list that every user that is not in any segment is going to build. In this case, it's, well, web content and filter with base tag. And we have a view content button to see the list of the content in that list. Now we are creating a variant, an audience variant with our high-end drivers, the same way, with content article, specific structure, and then filter by premium tag. And the content will be different. So let's go to our homepage again to apply our content set. So we have to add a new asset publisher or configure an existing one, select content set, and select our content set that just created. And publish, of course. To see the difference, we are going to use again the simulation panel. So in this case, we create a variation with the high-end drivers. So we are going to select the high-end drivers and see that the asset publisher content is going to change. So, yeah. But remember that Martina wants to go even further and to display this personalization in other channels. So for that reason, we have specific APIs from segmentation. This is the link that you are going to, well, you can access to see all the available undocumented APIs. If you're familiar with this Swagger Hub interface, there is the list of available APIs, the available parameters, what is the parameters you need to call that endpoint, and other things. So in our context, we have, for segmentation and personalization, we have these APIs, that is the first to retrieve the segments of a site, also to retrieve the users that belong to a segment, But also, in this case, Martina's problem, we are going to use the content set API that is going to retrieve the list of contents that our high-end user or high-end drivers are going to view. So, for example, if two different users that belongs to a different segment call or access the dealer portal app, its content will be different. This is an example of the call, the API call. We only need the content set ID and the user information. In this case, to be simple, we are using basic auth, but OAuth 2 is now supported in the API, so you can use it too. If we call that endpoint, the endpoint responds something like this. For example, that is an array of items containing each asset or all the information about the asset that the user is going to view. So we now cover the two scenarios, and Sofia and Martina are happy because we solve their problems. So now Edu is going to be a more techie and more...
Right, so, well, it's good that Martina and the bosses at Realworld are happy. But what about developers at Realworld, right? Okay, so because this is DevCon, we want to bring something for developers, and we have the best news for you, because everything you've seen in this presentation is open source. So all you have to do is go to this to our well-known repository, and you will find all you need to know about our code here, right? So if you take a look to our repository, you will find a very familiar library architecture based on modules with a separation of concerns pattern, right? This is just a very simplified version of architecture with the two stages, the administration one and the personalization one. If you take a look to the administration one, you will find the UIs that Sarai showed in the presentation, the segments editor and the experience manager. These are two brand new React components. A layer below, we have the criteria contributors, which are the building blocks of our segment editor, the ones that defines the sets of rules that I show you, the session, organization, and user. And of course, the fragment API, which connects the experience manager with the site builder that you already know. Finally, the segments API is the classic service builder API that you probably well know too. And then moving to the personalization, this time from bottom to top, we have the OData API, which translates the queries that are created with our editor into index queries. With this, we have like a business layer that filters the users with this in the index. And finally, we have two consumers of the personalization. Our apps could be fragments or the asset publisher, but also, as Sarai mentioned, the headless APIs, which allows you to consume this personalization everywhere. Okay, as always in library, we care about developers and we provide a number of extension points, right? So, for example, there's the first one, doesn't even need developing, right? So if you want to extend the list of user criteria in the editor, you just need to add a new custom field in the UI, and that will automatically show in the list of the segments editor. This is a way of empowering our users to extend the editor without developing. If you want to extend the session-based criteria, in this case, you need to develop and deploy a small component, okay? But it's very simple. And in this URL, you will find in our repository a full example on how to do it. If you want to go a step further and you need a complete brand new set of fields in our editor, you can create a criteria contributor. This is yet another example we provide in our repository to create, in this case, a contributor that filters users based on the title of the articles they have written in library. And of course, if you want to create segments programmatically because you are integrating a third party or some similar use case, you have a full documentation of our APIs, both local and remote, at your disposal. And again, if you don't believe me, you just have to go to our brand new documentation website. Here you will find not only the links to all these repos I show you, but also guided step-by-step tutorials will show you how to create these extensions in the segmentation and personalization features. So I encourage you all to take a look to them. Okay, and of course, we haven't forgotten our existing customers. For those of you who are using audience targeting, we have prepared an upgrade path to 7.2. For the user segments and default rules in audience targeting, we have a fully automated process to the new segments and default criteria in 7.2. And only if you're using custom rules or some display portlets, you will need to take some manual actions, because now we have more options in 7.2 and you need to choose which one fits your business better. Okay, so we are approaching the end of our sessions, and I want to take this chance to wrap up and see some of the main concepts we have talked about today, right? So the first thing is that, as you've seen in our demos, Liferay provides a very powerful segmentation that again empowers business users to define the audiences. There's not need for technical knowledge to use this drag and drop based segments editor. And you can use profile, but also behavior based information on the XP. And if you want to go further, you can leverage the integration with Analytics Cloud to create even more powerful segments based on long-term behavior and including anonymous users. The second step, as Sarai demonstrated, is the personalization. The power of this business-oriented segment editor, combined with the site builder that we've seen in previous session, makes it very easy, even for business users, to create personalized experiences. Finally, and Sarai also demonstrate this, all these features can be exploited not only in Liferay, but also by third parties. So because we support the multi-channel. And if you need to integrate with other systems or to extend these features, we provide a lot of extension points that are very well documented both in our repository and in our documentation website. So, well, I would like to finish by saying that Liferay DXP enables the delivery of engaging, personalized experiences that differentiate your business from your competitors. Thank you. Well, I have 3 minutes left, so before we move to questions, I want to thank the great team behind all these features. As you can see here, it is an international team. We have a part of the team is in LA, a part of the team is in Brazil, a part of the team is in Spain. And the good news is that a lot of these faces, you will see them here around in DEF CON. So if we don't have more time for questions now, please go to the booth. Both Sarai and I and some other folks at Liferay will be there at your disposal to answer any questions you have about these features. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
Do we have time for questions? Maybe 3 minutes? So, yeah, go ahead. Don't be shy.
Maybe one question. Don't be shy. Okay.
Okay, so I said, there we have one. Oh, I did. Oh, sorry.
I would like to ask about assigning users to the segments if I'm using it from the third party, so through the API. If I use something through the API, can I also assign the user who is using this API to the segment? Can I write the rule which is actually based on the calling some specific API?
Yeah, so, well, if the question is, can you assign manual or programmatically as a user like hard code to that segment? The answer is yes. So actually, we do something similar with integration of Analytics Cloud. So there's a way of assigning a certain user to a certain segment, and then so in that way you create like a pre-assigned user to that segment. So and you can combine that with dynamically assigned users, right? And there's an example of that in our documentation website.
Okay, thank you.
So we are done.
Okay, so well, you're not awesome. Do I need the? Oh, sorry, my first time in the silent.
I have a question for you. I had a couple calls with customers who previously were using audience targeting, and they were very used to applying a user segment to their content, as opposed to having experiences for pages as we do now.
Yep.
And one of the challenges that they were facing as part of moving from audience targeting to what we have today with personalization is flipping the paradigm. So when you are providing a migration path, what does that look like for the end user now?
Yeah. So well, for that particular case, so it's true that we focus more in 7.2 on the new fragment or content pages, right? Because they are more powerful. But as shown today in the demo, we haven't forgotten the widget pages, right? So one alternative for that for those users is to use the content set that we showed earlier, in which you assign content to segment, right? And that can be combined with the asset publisher in a way that is very similar to how the content, the user segment content list portlet worked in other targeting. But still, for your information, we're working in improving this upgrade path. So in the future, in the short term, we will provide even better and more automatic steps for display portlets. Okay,
Well,
so
thank
now
you.
with 10 seconds left. So again, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you at the booth right now. Thank you.